Day 2 of the waiting period here as the World Surf League brings the championship tour to the shores of Brazil. It is our fourth stop. Good morning. My name's Geek Saliers alongside Peter Mel as you join us with an all-Brazilian goofy foot affair. Gabriel Medina, the former world champion back in 2014, finds himself in round 2.
Nice and clean.
Well, have a look at activation here for wave number 1 of this encounter. Gabriel Medina, lots of speed. You already know where he's going with this. And does he hold it? He wrestles with it. And we'll throw a little question mark on the end of that.
Yeah, that was more than a question mark. That was an incomplete. I mean, that was a very nice air, riding around backwards, but they're not going to give you a whole lot of points. So there's no such thing as 90% rule when you look at aerials here. You got to completely pull it off. Judges are very critical. And that comes from the surfers. The surfers have said, hey, if we're going to see aerial moves, as you see the replay here, you know, this looks a little bit more paced than we saw yesterday in his first round heat. You know, I know that he was amping. As you see that big tail high, you know, he pulls these usually with his eyes closed, but this time tried to get down to his belly to really complete the ride, but doesn't go for it.
Well, live action, Jesse Mendes will lock in this one as well. High line, you see both goofy footers running in the upper part of the wave to build speed. Jesse Mendes with some complete wraps here and a lovely tail grind. And then a little coping hit as well. So nice momentum there from Jesse Mendes.
Beautiful stuff.
Good stuff, Pete.
It was. You know, on this board, we've actually seen him win. We did the Cascais events together last year. This is the board that he was riding for that win there. Also, riding it this year to his win at the Oz Open. So this is one of his magic boards that he's been utilizing for all those QS points. That's why he's leading the qualifying series right now. He's got another board that's exactly the same measurements, but you always end up going to that one, that magic board that has been so good to you. Again, you see that hard on the bottom. You remember that air spray that he had. This is that board right now. So again, you just get attached to a certain type of equipment that's been so good to you.
Well, let's see what Gabriel Medina can do on that Cavianca shape. Without black rails here for this event. Squares up, nice 2 turns. Now he has a new opportunity. Gabriel Medina, lots of lateral projection in that final maneuver. He'll come unstuck. And second wave of the set, Jesse Mendes will pounce upon it. Mendes with a little wrap. This wave's a touch smaller. Ooh. Contact sport right there.
Well, you wonder if the water photographer did have a bit of an issue being in the way. Well, Jesse, I'm sure, would have let him know, and like, hey, buddy. I mean, you'll see that the head judge will always see that if that's you know, a problem, they'll let him know. As you see the replay here, and see what happens, see if he actually does have contact. First snap, you definitely notice he's there. No, that had nothing to do with him. He was out of there, but
yeah, as he came out of that maneuver, right?
Little dig of the rail. Now again, what's the difference? Why do you do that? You know, it's going to be, he's a little stronger for Gabriel, a little bigger, so he can handle that extra weight. See the replay here again. That he is not holding back. You see, he's going to be punching that. To see Charlie, as he's feeling it there.
And a runner-up at the Maitland and Port Stevens.
You know what's cool about Jesse?
Newcastle
is that Jesse's been able to have wins, like solid wins.
Let's have a look how Medina approaches the right-hander. First time we see him on the backhand in this heat. It is tricky on that backhand. A couple of gutters and bumps to deal with, as we did see all the way through yesterday.
Jesse's won 2 QS 10,000s. He's won a major event at that Aussie Open, which is a filled, even though it's a QS 6,000, it's got you know, major points and a very talented group of surfers in it. Let's take a look at this replay here. Little drift. You know, these rights, I would say yesterday had a lot of opportunity. Today feels like they're not going to have that same kind of push. You know, that rip pulling out. It's almost like the bank is, you know, the way the waves and the direction of the swell and the size of the swell has moved it away from the rip. And I think the rip was something that helped the right, you know, earlier in the day.
Well, we're now inside the second half of the heat. Clock says 14.5 to go out of 30 minutes here in round 2 this morning. Jesse Mendes in position here. And on the outside peak, Jesse Mendes. There he goes on his magic board. High lines it. Lots of speed, rail work, and now the progression element, just shifting his feet a touch together, losing his balance and stance.
what happens on those airs is you want to bring everything forward. And a lot of times the back foot is all you need to really do is bring forward. But
a little over 11 minutes to go here in this counter. While we were at break, scores came in for Gabe Medina, 6.6 for that backhand unroll and a 2.83 for Jesse Mendes. And here we look at a block, and now acceleration from Medina, goes to the air, and yes, he'll bring a completion to that. A little bit grubby on the exit, but still nonetheless brings the completion, and he'll add that to
wonder what's going on here.
To his little tally.
I was like, what do they need jet ski assist for? It's
well, lots of current still here at Saquarema. Let's have a look at how this man, Jesse Mendes, with all that qualifying series experience, this is a good wave right here. He's put together three big hacks, and right as I say that,
yeah, that was of a wave that he needed to complete, and he knows it. But the thing about, you know, I was touching on, you know, his, there it is, jet ski assist, there it is, right in front of my face. hey, pay attention, Pete. The consistency for Jesse, it can be helpful if he can just put together 5 big results, which I know he has it in him. And right now he has been able to put it together on those first 2 turns, but not completing it. And that's kind of where you got to just know that you're going to make these last waves, because it's so important, especially when you got a guy as dangerous and has as much firepower as Gabriel Medina does. Beautiful air move there. But again, you talked about how he got stuck, you know, and the judges will take note of that. You know, you need to come out of it. If you
up in the competitors area, it's been fun to watch all the Brazilians, the fellow competitors, Miguel Pupo, Adriano de Souza, everybody's up there watching this heat, and they said this is one of their favorites to watch because these guys have been doing this since they were 12. As you see Gabriel boosting out the back, looking like he's coming down the line, up into the corner, slams away again. Really great surfing right there, putting it down. So the boys loving the action. They love to see these guys battle, and it's not over yet.
Nice little frontside grab air. Nice transition move. He actually kind of carried the section. First snap, vertical, and then again, pops the air, gets the grab. Not super high, but the fact that he carried the speed through the maneuver will benefit this wave. And then again, finishing strong. You know, and in slow motion, I think it took away a little bit from that speed that he carried through the maneuvers. Again, look at that click, but he transitions over the section, lands right on the top of the lip, and comes out with a ton of speed. A lot of variety in this wave. Gabriel looking good. It's exactly what he needed to do. And I think that Jesse kind of inspired this kind of performance. You know, and he was surfing those waves in France as good as any of the top pros at that time. And it was king of the Grands.
Well, Jesse Mendes, here we go. Open face sweeps again. That left-hander is consistent for us here at Saquarema this morning. Lovely release. Does he haul it back in? Well, he kind of was, and then he didn't. So 3 minutes to go. Mendes will be feeling the pressure here because his requirements have bumped up into the 8-point range. Now an 8.37 is the new requirement for Jesse Mendes, because Gabriel Medina found a 7.6 for that left-hander where he went to the air. So Gabriel Medina still holding that priority. A little bit of drama, and look, definitely some theatrics, Pete.
For sure. You know, and Jesse needed to watch himself because he didn't have priority at that point. You know, and he needs to heed way because the priorities with Gabriel Medina. So, you know, Gabriel was smart in just staying underneath him.
Well, the result will become official